If I were to do the exercise of all the houses I sold, I guarantee you that I've lost over $10 million in equity. When we buy a mastermind, you're buying a membership to a world that not everyone is willing to enter. Artificial intelligence is not going to replace humans, but there are positions that can be replaceable if you stay stuck.
If someone were to ask you, well, I'm just starting, what should I do first, perhaps maybe to get into this?
I think the first thing a person should do is
How's it going? How are you doing, friends? Antonio Hernandez here with Flip Latino. Today I have the pleasure and honor of being with Alexis, great friend of mine. We met long ago, but it feels like we've known each other for a long time. Welcome, Alexis.
No, thank you. It's an honor for me. Really a pleasure. And as you said, we met at the event on the court, but then we saw each other in Chicago, and well, we've really built a beautiful friendship. That's one of the characteristics that this industry brings. We do business, but we also make beautiful friendships.
Sure, yes. And getting right into the topic because our audience wants to know what they can implement. Alexis, let's say, what is your field? What do you do right now?
Look, in the case of multifamily, I've diversified a bit, right? And I'm going to explain why. Let me give you a little context. I started with fix and flips, then saw selling lost future gains. I was doing fix and flip, but I really realized over time that every time I sold a house, I was losing future appreciation. Many times when we do a fix and flip, we're focused on the 30, 40, 50, maybe $100,000 we can make in the moment. But look, an exercise I did recently where I took first three houses I bought, I'm talking about in 2012, three addresses. And of course, I calculated that in first one I made about 40,000, in the second one I made about 30,000, and in the third one I don't know, about 30,000. And it was like $100,000. I looked them up. We're in 2024 and the three of them added up to $1 million. If I had held on to those properties, I would have had $1 million in those three. Now, we haven't talked about the bunch of properties that I sold later. Guys, I really got scared. I'll be honest with you. I got scared and didn't want to exercise. If I were to do the exercise for all the houses I have sold, I guarantee you that I have lost more than $10 million in equity. And really, when I understood that, I realized that the business isn't about selling, but about holding on to it. So I started to create a rental portfolio. But of course, it happens to me a stage because I'm buying single family homes, duplexes, fourplexes, 2 unit and 4 unit properties. But there comes a moment when I say, how is it expensive? And of course, looking for answer to that question, I enter the world of multifamily properties. And I enter the multifamily world by forming syndicates. And then, well, besides syndicates, I've done joint ventures, I've done other opportunities. And I would say that to answer your question, I'm currently focusing on three strategies. I keep buying residences, but I'm buying them very strategically through creative financing because besides the property, I'm also buying the loan at a lower interest rate than what the bank can provide. But in addition, I'm buying multifamily properties and I'm buying co-living. Co-living is a model that, although it has existed forever, people do not know it very well. And it's basically when you divide a property, a residence, and you rent each room for $800, $900, and you have 10 rooms in a house. Imagine that's about $8,000 more or less, which is actually what I do with PadSplit. And to give a little context to the audience, just like the Airbnb model has existed forever, even before Airbnb existed, people would say, so what did Airbnb do? They created a business model around an already existing business model and they packaged it up, created a portal, and now it's much easier to work through them. PadSplit says the same thing. The co-living model has existed forever, but PadSplit created a platform like Airbnb so that through them, you can list your property and start renting each room for between $700 to $1,000, depending on the city.
Perfect. Alexis, how did you get into the real estate business? In what time frame? What happened for you to say, well, what were you doing before you really got into the country?
Look, two things, I still do them. I am an entrepreneur. In 2006, when I founded my first company, it was a company I started with $2,000 in capital. I didn't have capital. What I had was a lot of hunger and a lot of hope to grow and prosper, right? Yes. In the first year, we made $60,000. In the second year, 180,000. In the third year, 690,000. And by the fourth year, I reached $1 million. When you start generating money, the government starts to become your partner involuntarily. So I find myself in a situation where I have to pay high amounts of taxes. And in my search, because of course, don't know if this has happened to you, but I would hear that the rich get richer and pay less taxes. And I would say, but how do they keep getting richer and not pay taxes? In fact, has to be a strategy legally. Until I discovered that real estate offers you that opportunity. So I started in 2012. Well, that was the number one inspiration. The number two inspiration, I used to watch the show on HGTV, like all of us. And of course, imagine my little girl was small. She was 4 years old back then. Our daughter was one. We were young. Watching shows inspired us. I thought it would be nice for us to turn a house around. Buying a rundown house brings purpose to chaos. We turn them into value and purpose for a new family. One is bringing purpose to a house, chaos. We are experts at turning them into value and purpose for a family that is now coming to live in that property. So, of course, I would say, wow, how beautiful it is to be able to turn chaos into order, to provide a family with a home that is now going to be blessed. And at the same time, I make money and I can use that tool to not pay taxes to the government legally. So the combination of all these things was what led us to come in to this world.
That was a win-win, as we say.
It was a win-win all around. I mean, look for it. And I still can't find a reason not to do the business.
Imagine someone approaching you and asking, I'm just starting out. What should be my first steps to enter this field? Could you guide me on the initial actions to take to begin effectively?
I definitely think the first thing a person should do is a self-assessment.
Of course.
What is your financial situation? Do you have money? Because look, there are different scenarios. There are people who want to start the business and have money. They have savings, or they have equity in a property. They have equity, or they have, let's say, access to capital in some way, but they don't have time. There's another group of people who have the time, but don't have the money. There's another group of people who have both the money and the time. And there's another group of people who have neither the time nor the money. So I think it's about understanding what position you're currently in, doing a self-assessment. If you have money and no time, the best part is to invest that money with a successful operator so that your money multiplies with that operator. If you have the time but don't have the money and you don't have the experience, so offer your gifts and talents. All of us as human beings, God blessed us with gifts and talents. And if I don't have money and I don't really have resources, let's say material resources, there are many resources within me as a person. I am the only Alexi in this world. You are the only person in this world. In fact, if you had a twin brother, he wouldn't even be identical to you. So there are a lot of gifts and talents that we have that we can provide. At a table, we can provide it to another operator who really might need the gifts and talents that you have. So I think understanding what your current position is, self-evaluate. And based on what material or non-material resources you have, bring it to the table.
Would you recommend someone who is new? Let's say they came for the first time, for example, to this event and doesn't know how to start. How do I start? Should I structure my company? I learn, I network. What would be the first idea?
I think I definitely made, it wasn't absolutely a mistake. I really learned, but there's a shorter path. There's a long way and there's a short way. And I think the fastest way to draw a line from one point to another is through a straight line. I mean, I can get to the other point with a very long path, right? So, putting it another way, we are right now in Charlotte. I have two options if they tell me you have to go to Florida right now. I can drift without knowing, right? Without a GPS, not knowing where I'm going to get there speaking, but it's going to take months. Now, if I have a GPS, what does the GPS do? At the next left, at the next right, at the next light to the left, and it guides you until you reach your final destination directly. The mistake I made, and it wasn't really a mistake, I repeat, I think it was a learning path. But to answer your question many times, and this happens a lot in the Hispanic community, we want to do it alone and we want to reach our destinations without a GPS. And the GPS, metaphorically speaking, is a person who already has experience in the business, a mentor, a community, a partner. Join someone who already has experience and be your GPS so you can reach your final destination much faster.
Interesting. Do you think that, for example, in my opinion, our community sometimes, and I tell you, doesn't believe in paying or investing, let's say, time or money in a coach or a mentor? And I strongly believe that I learned it. Let's say, after I started seeing all of this, in many cases, it is often observed that people hesitate. Do you think that mindset, let's say, has a lot to do with that, or is one born already mentally ready?
Look, it's same thing. There are two paths, one long, one short. The first time I invested in a mentorship was in 2012. Back then I paid $10,000. With inflation, those $10,000 could represent today maybe around $18,000, $20,000 easily. And honestly, I didn't look to invest in that. They sold it to me. I felt like they pushed her mint on me. Now, after I got in and I didn't have them, had them on a credit card. Once I got in, wow, I was amazed. My life was transformed in the following weeks. And I understood there are two ways to go through life, the path of life, either by hitting hard or by buying someone else's experience. If you have a mastermind group, and you say, you know what, I want to charge $10,000, I'm buying 20 years of experience for just $10,000. Money is a commodity. Money shows up anywhere. Money comes and goes, but time really can't be recovered. You can't even, well, yes, you can buy it, and that's the way to buy it. And really, if I invest 10,000 here with you, invest 10,000 with the other, invest 25. I recently invested one of $30,000, and I tell you, my God, in less than a month, I go to another level. I mean, my life has already grown to another level. Not just the knowledge, but the people around you. When you walk into a room of $30,000, I'm walking into a room with a different group of people.
Yes.
And you see it looks something so simple for the audience to process. Have you noticed the big difference between shopping at Walmart and shopping at Costco? You haven't noticed the quality of food, but also the quality of people who go to Costco. What's the difference? At Costco, you pay for a membership. When we buy a mastermind, you're buying a membership to a world that not everyone is willing to enter.
And not everyone wants to pay for, let's say, for example, access, right? I mean, having access to information, right? Because otherwise, as you said, if you want to do it, well, you're going to go and you're not going to reach your destination quickly, right? Or you're going to get there, but you're going to get there with bumps and mistakes and everything else, right? For Alexis, let's say, at this moment, what does success mean to you?
Look, a lot of people confuse success with a destination. And really, success is not a destination, but a life process. And I believe that at this moment in my life, I am living success because we are tripartite beings. We are beings that are made up of a body. We are made up of a soul, which is where emotions and thoughts are, and a spirit. I feel successful in all three areas of my life. I am a Christian man. I really accepted that in my heart many years ago, 18 years ago. And since then, I've been dedicated to my spiritual life. In my physical life, I eat really well. I actually go to the gym. I take care of my health. And in my soul, I'm really a self taught person, someone who actively seeks knowledge, seeks to learn. If I have those three components of success, the rest will come. Because if my mind is right, spirit is right, and my health is right, I'm going to have all the energy in the world to build a home. Healthy and successful, building healthy and successful finances, building healthy and successful social relationships, and really having a successful life, like the question you're asking me.
And you're right. Let's say your energy, right? And not only that, the spiritual part, connecting with other people in a meaningful and impactful manner and deeply. I believe that human beings are not designed to be alone, right? And let's say what you're saying is pretty good, right? Do you think that, for example, an investor who wants to be at the top in their respective field should have excellent nutrition and mental well being? I mean, a good spiritual guide. I mean, having all three things in order. Because otherwise, how are you going to get there? Is it necessary?
Look, definitely yes. And fortunately, many times we discover it too late, right? At 20 years old, we think we know everything. We really don't know anything. Do we think we're Superman? Of course, and why? You have your body even for show. I remember I was joking with my coach the other day. I said, I just don't understand because at 20, I ate like an animal and my body skinny. And now I have to eat really well. Sure, what happens that over time, sometimes it happens to us in the spiritual part, and sometimes it also happens to us in the part of the soul, where our emotions and thoughts are, why do we have to reach the point of fattening my soul? Or that we have to reach the point of fattening my health? Or that I have to reach the point of fattening my spiritual life to really make a life decision? Sure. The first thing in my case, right? And there isn't a specific order. And I think having all three at the same time would be the perfect scenario. But in my personal case, I started with my spiritual life. Then I began to nourish my mind. And the last thing I focused on was my physical life. And why? Because when I turned 40, I felt the change in my body. And I thought, oh, wait, this wasn't happening to me. Things started happening that didn't happen before. And of course, the people who are listening to me now, if there are young people listening to me now, don't wait for something like this to happen. I mean, start taking care of yourself from there in all aspects of your life. Because you know what? If there's one thing we can be sure of, and that science hasn't been able to find a solution for, it's that the body deteriorates every day.
Alexis, I know that you are very technical and, let's say, very studious about what you do. In your business, you're currently implementing artificial intelligence, which a lot of people want to know about. I mean, there are ways to do things faster, right?
Totally. In fact, what we were talking about a little while ago, time can't be bought. And one of the best tools that has come out in recent years is artificial intelligence. I'm applying artificial intelligence in all my businesses. In fact, not just in real estate. I have a technology business. I have partnerships with other partners in different types of businesses in other industries, and we are already applying artificial intelligence. Two things with this. We've bought a lot of time. Things that used to take us 2 hours to do, we now do in a minute, literally. So in addition, we save time. A lot of people are afraid that they're going to lose their jobs. And really, there's something that we need to keep very, very, very much in mind. Artificial intelligence is not going to replace humans, but there are positions that can be replaceable if you fall behind. What do I mean by this? Artificial intelligence doesn't work without a prompt.
You have to tell it what to do.
You have to tell it what to do. If you don't know what to tell it to do, you have a problem. But if you know what to tell artificial intelligence, you really have work for a lifetime. And that's really what I tell people. You have to start using artificial intelligence. Do you know what it was? We are living exactly in the era of the 90s when the internet came out. And recently my kids were telling me, Dad, my teachers are scolding me for using ChatGPT. And I told him I want a meeting with your teacher and I want to talk to him. Why? Because teacher is doing what my mom, he did to me in the 90s when the internet came out. telling me not to use the internet. And nowadays, we do our shopping online, we pay our bills online, we do everything online. My dad doesn't know how to use the internet, and neither does my father in law. And they have to keep calling my wife, hey, can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? That's what we're experiencing now with artificial intelligence. If you really don't adapt to artificial intelligence, it's like not adapting to the internet in the 90s. New companies that emerged thanks to the internet, eBay, Amazon, and countless others, were born because of the internet. There are already companies being formed thanks to artificial intelligence, and it's necessary. Companies disappeared because of the internet. Companies are going to disappear because of artificial intelligence.
3 examples of how to utilize artificial intelligence, such as with Res.
Look, it's very simple. I have a promo. In fact, I just showed it to the people. I told him, write to me, for example, on Instagram. I told him, put the word maths for multifamily, and I'm going to give you a promo. What was the promo about? It was a promo for an employee who works for you, where he is now going to gather economic data on which is the best city to invest in the United States. Something as simple as that. Another tool that I use for artificial intelligence, I have a technology company, and we are actually going to release an app, in fact, in the next 2 weeks. It's going to be called Your Virtual Assistant, literally with my phone. I tell her, hey, send an email, Jose, about the task he has to do on Monday at 3 in the afternoon. And she's going to respond back to you. I'm going to send an email to Jose regarding the task. The topic or the subject is going to be ta 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 ta. The content of the email is this. Want to send it? Yes. And it sends the email, and that's going to be connected to your Outlook or your Gmail or your email account. The same app is going to tell you, you can say, hey, schedule a business meeting with Luis on Friday at 3 in the afternoon, and it will automatically schedule it in your Outlook or Gmail or wherever you have your email. Similarly, hey, create a task for me for Friday at 2 in the afternoon with a reminder to remind me 1 hour before. It's literally your personal assistant. And where does the premise come from? I had a spectacular assistant. Her husband decides to start a business, and she wants to support her husband. Totally respectable. I gave her a pat on the hand and told her to go and support her husband. But it's been really hard for me to find an assistant who runs at the same pace that I do. And I said, if I can't beat it, join it. What I did, since I already have a technology company, is we created an app called Your Personal Assistant. And that's going to be available to everyone soon.
Perfect. Alexis, we heard this out there and people are asking, right? What does financial freedom mean to you?
Financial freedom. There are 3 stages of life. The first stage is when you wake up thinking about money and go to bed thinking about money. We all go through that. You need to bring bread home, you need to pay the bills, and all you think about is money, 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 money. The second stage is when you already have a lifestyle. You say, you know what? I already cover my basic needs, and now I want to give myself a better lifestyle. I go out to travel, I go out to dinner with my wife, I go to the movies, I go to Disney, I come to an event like this. But there's a third level that we should all aspire to. I really feel like I'm at that level, and it's when you see money as a tool. With money, I can destroy, and with money, I can bless the lives of others. And I really am at the stage of life where I truly want to impact lives of other people. And for me, that's part of the answer to the question you were asking me. Of course, there are things that can't be bought. Money is everywhere, but time can't be bought. And of course, when my investments can provide me with financial freedom, where I can truly cover these 3 stages, where I already cover the essentials for my home, where I cover my lifestyle, and also have enough left over to impact the lives of others, that's really what financial freedom is.
Perfect. If you, let's say at this moment, in the moment you're in, what would you say to the Latino community? I mean, those who aren't investing yet and are thinking about it, who think that maybe when interest rates go down, it will be a better time. What would you say that person? Is it time to invest now or wait?
Look at it. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. And that first step is going to be taken today or in 10 years. The important thing is to take the step now. Many times people keep thinking about it, they're stuck in analysis paralysis. And it's so simple because they don't see the horizon. You don't need to see the horizon. What you need to do is take the first step, then the second, then the third. And as you keep walking, the horizon starts to get closer. So I would tell people to start, don't think about it twice. You don't even need to be prepared. Start by taking the first step, and you'll see the final destination getting closer every day.
Yes. Speaking of, for example, books, podcasts, is there any book, podcast, or perhaps a mentor that has truly changed your life?
Several. So Robert Kiyosaki changed my life. Tony Robbins, obviously. And nowadays, one of my closest mentors right now is Pace Morby. He changed my life recently, about 2 years ago, and beyond that, we've become very good friends. Just today, we were talking via text. This, I was telling him a series of things, and really, folks, a mentor doesn't have to be someone you're close to. I don't know Tony Robbins personally, but he changed my life. I don't know Robert Kiyosaki personally, but he changed my life. In the case of Pace, I originally didn't know him. I know him now, but originally I didn't have a relationship with him. But he changed my life before I even met him. I didn't have to know him to change my life. Choose a mentor, and that person, the one who impacts you and changes your life, is really going to be your mentor.
Is there a personal purpose or a life purpose in what you're doing right now?
Totally, really. All the money and fortune we make, we're not going to take it with us. You know that we're going to take with us the impact you have on someone else's life. If you start to analyze, imagine that you had the opportunity, let's say you passed away, you're at your own funeral, but yourself in the first person have the chance to go to your own funeral. And of course, you see your body in the coffin, but you see all the people around crying. Think and analyze. What would you like those people to say? Wow, I like the Ferrari that Alexi had. I absolutely like the $500 million mansion. No, I'm not interested in that. I would definitely like people to say, Alexi changed my life. Thanks to Alexi being in my life during a tough time, I'm really in an easy moment today. Really, our life. It's about impacting the lives of others. And my life purpose is, in one way or another, with all the resources I have, to be able to transform the lives of other people.
No, definitely, Alexis. Look, since I met you, I mean, we didn't connect right away, but I know you're an analytical person, and I love hearing that, right? That thing they say, what's the purpose? And I think that many of us are in that, right? In that search. And when you go, let's say, as you grow, not just in years, right? Growing. Mentally, your purpose is no longer money. Correct. That's something else. Correct. And especially, let's say, finding the places and seeing that kind of friendship, I mean, it really fills you spiritually. At least, I mean, I know these people, I know him, we talk, and it's different now. Exactly. And money, as you said, is a tool, but what can money do for someone who doesn't have it right now? For someone who is living paycheck to paycheck, so how would you help those people see money in a different way?
Look, I think it's very difficult, right? Because even here we've talked about it several times. I think there are two ways to look at not just money, but anything in life, right? I was just in a talk as a speaker here at the I Am Legacy event with Julio. And at one point I say to him, look at this, 2 weeks ago, not 2 days ago, did a live. In fact, this week I've been telling people, let's do some practical exercises, come with laptops. Cool. The day before yesterday, we did a live, people, come with laptops. We're going to do practical exercises. When I arrived here today, I see about 5 laptops out of 400 people. I tell them, folks, take out a pencil and paper. And when we get to the practical exercise, I can tell you that 5% used pencil and paper and use their laptops. What about the other 95%? Why am I bringing you this information? Because I can tell you or try to change your perspective on money, but at the end of the day, it's to you if you want to do it or not. It's up to you if you want to take out paper and pencil and apply it.
You can't, let's say, install the chip that you have in people, right? And to tell them, you know what? If you change your mindset, do this, you're going to be different.
Of course, and in the end, I'll give you the definition, the answer, right? But I wanted to make that introduction, let's say, intentionally, so that the person takes out the pencil and paper and can transform their life. And really, money is a tool. Money is a commodity. It's very easy to access. You get it through banks, you get it through friendships, you really have it through work. I mean, the money is there. Now, once you have money, you have two options. You either destroy someone's life or you build someone's life. And the decision is in your hands.
Alexis, it's a pleasure to have you here and a pleasure to get to know you more deeply. Where can people find information about Alexis? How can they find you on social media?
On social media, it's the same name, Alexis Jimenez, PR from Puerto Rico, and Jimenez with a J because Jimenez can also be spelled with a G. Alexis Jimenez PR on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And obviously on Instagram, well, I have three purposes right now. On Instagram, we post reels, the short videos. On Facebook, we broadcast live. But on YouTube, I call it YouTube. YouTube is my library where there's a lot of free information that people can look for and learn.
Perfect. Alexis,
Hey, thanks.
join Live Latino. Invest in language. Thanks, Alexis.
Thanks, Antonio, being here.